Hello everybody, today I'm going to talk about a different subject, and it's about two of my favorite movies. Those are Star Wars and Star Trek movies, and I want to make just a brief gross income comparison between the two genders or the two series of movies, because I think it's interesting to see how they compare to each other and also how much money these movies have gained over the years. And again, it's one of my favorite movies, so I thought it was interesting to do this. So as you can see here in the graph, this represents the gross revenue of the Star Trek movies, from the first one, the motion picture, to the last one, just called Star Trek, which is like a prequel more than a sequel. As you can see, the new Star Trek movie is by far the one that has earned the most revenue, $385 million. That's a lot for a Star Trek movie, and it's more than double than any of the other movies before. You also can see that the second place, it's the one that takes the second place on gross revenue, is First Contact with 146, and it's marked by red color. And the third one is the original motion picture movie of Star Trek with 139 million. I have some comments. I can understand how the original motion picture made that amount of money. Everybody who was a fan of the Star Trek series, it was kind of waiting for a movie, and when the first movie came out, everybody went to see it. It was a kind of good movie, but it's also a little bit slow in my opinion. It's very slow, and I wish they had more action, more fighting with the Klingons or something else. But overall, it was a good movie. Now, the last Star Trek movie, the one that is making the most money, I think it was good, it was entertaining, but I have to say it lacks certain Star Trek qualities, I think, in my opinion. For example, one thing that I just couldn't understand why it was so was the looks of the Romulans. The Romulans don't look like that. In this movie they just have a big tattoo on their face, and that's it. That's a Romulan. I really don't think that's the consistent look that it has been having since the beginning. Even since the first Star Trek, the original series, the Romulans had a certain look that is very similar to the Vulcans, and this new movie completely changed that. That's one thing. The other thing is that the special effects were really good, but at the same time, I didn't like so much the whole orientation of the movie. It didn't feel so Star Trek to me. I guess most people disagree with me, and he was the biggest and the most successful Star Trek movie ever until this date, 2011. But again, I didn't feel the Star Trek on it as much as on the other movies. For example, the movie before that, Nemesis, I had to say that I didn't like that movie either. In fact, it's the movie that has the lowest amount of gross revenue, so it's the movie that less people went to see on the movie theaters. And it was a darker movie, but it's still, with everything, Nemesis retains, in my opinion, more Star Trek consistency than the new Star Trek movie. But it's just my opinion. I'm sure many people may not agree with that. Now, that's about the Star Trek movies and a few comments I wanted to make. Now, if we go to the Star Wars movies, there are 6. You can see that the one that was the most successful was the Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, with $925 million. And again, I can understand why was it. In fact, before this movie came out, I was wondering how come George Lucas didn't remake these movies or make a sequel, and how come the Star Trek subject died. It died for decades, for a couple of decades. I thought it was a great opportunity, and if as it was proven, it was. And I think in 1999, if I'm not mistaken, the Star Wars Episode 1 came out, and everybody was excited. And I remember the people screaming on the movie theater, and I saw this in South America, so this was probably a worldwide phenomenon. And before this Phantom Menace, I remember in 1997 George Lucas came with the new version of the old movies, the remastering. Those were played also in movie theaters, and I went to see it. And it was a big event down in South America, and it was a big success too. So you can see this Star Wars Episode 1 was the biggest gross revenue movie, following by the Episode 3, if I'm not mistaken, yes, here, marked in red, the Revenge of the Sith with 849. I guess everybody wanted to know how would these prequels conclude. And then following by the original New Hope with $776 million. So it's kind of curious to see that the one that earned the less money was the Return of the Jedi, which I think it was a great movie, and I would say it's much better than the sequels, the prequels or the newest movies. But that's just my opinion. In fact, when George Lucas came with the idea of making the prequels, I thought it was a mistake. Well, I guess I was wrong from a revenue point of view, because they were a big success. But I was thinking, 20 years ago or something like that, he could have come with a sequel. Mark Hamill was still young, Harrison Ford was still young, all the actors were still okay, most of them were still like movie worth, so to say, and there are many like some kind of loose ends. For example, where is all the Empire fleet after the last battle? Where did it go? If you see the movie at the end, it is a massive amount of starships like cutting off the rebels, and it just doesn't make sense that they were all destroyed. It just, so many must have escaped. So I thought there was a chance for a sequel there. Plus the fact that Leia finds out that he is Luke's sister, and she could be potentially a Jedi too. So that's all things that I thought it could have been exploited, and especially not because it was better than the prequels, but because the actors were still valid. The actors could still act those sequels and could still be on the movies. Now it's kind of too late. We are a little too old now. They could still have a kind of like a cameo appearances, like in Star Trek movies where Spock appeared in the last one, but it wouldn't be the same. But that's my main point. So as you can see by the numbers, the Star Wars movies greatly outweighed the revenue of the Star Trek movies, even though the Star Trek movies are much more, and they are like 10, and the Star Wars movies are like only 6. And this is counting only the movies, just for you to know. This is only the gross revenue of the movies. And you can see this in the graphs that the Star Trek movies are only like 24% compared to Star Wars movies that are 76% of the, if we just add both series of movies revenues. So in terms of revenue, Star Wars really wins Star Trek movies. And this is not counting the new Clone Wars cartoon that I read. It made just with toys, it made like $500 million last year. So in comparison with the Star Trek movie toys, I don't have any specifics on those numbers, but I'm suspecting it's much less. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this Star Trek versus Star Wars movies gross revenue, and I may come later with a different video and go more in detail about this. Thank you.